Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to continue talking about weather. Who remembers what is weather? Okay, do you remember? We said weather is what the air outside is like. Okay, very good. So if the air is moving a lot, we could probably say that it's a windy day. And if there's a lot of water falling in the air, we could say it's a rainy day. Okay, so today we're going to continue talking about the weather and how we get different kinds of weather. How do we get different kinds of weather? Okay, so remember we were talking about the water cycle. What is the water cycle? Okay, the water cycle talks about water moves in a circle, in a cycle, goes around and around and around and around. Okay, so boys and girls, who can remember the first thing? What happens first? Okay, let's look at this picture. What causes the water cycle to start? The sun. Everybody point to the sun. Okay, so what does the sun do? The sun heats the water. Very good. The sun heats the water. When the sun heats the water, what happens? The water becomes water vapor, which just means water in the air. Okay, water vapor goes up and gets up into the clouds. It's suddenly cooled and it makes drops, and those drops form rain. You see the drops on top of this lid? This is hot water. The hot water became water vapor. It went up, it touched the cold lid, and suddenly the water vapor changed back into water and started to drop down. All right, so please look at this water cycle that I've given you. And take out your fingers. Be careful, don't scratch it. Don't scratch it, use your finger. All right, let's see. Show me the sun. Show me how the sun shines down, okay, onto the water. Do you feel the water? All right. Show me how the water causes evaporation. Evaporation means the water becomes water vapor and it goes up. Remember we say hot air goes up, right? It goes into the clouds. When it gets into the clouds, it gets what? Cools down, it gets cold. What happens to water vapor when it cools down? It becomes water again and then it rains down. Okay. Now, boys and girls, do you see that no matter how much rain falls down, there's still going to be a little bit of water in the air, but probably not enough to cause a lot of rain. Okay, so let's sing the song that we learned. Water travels in a cycle, yes it does. Water travels in a cycle, yes it does. It goes up, called evaporation. It forms cloud, called condensation, and rains down, called precipitation. Yes, it does. All right, did you do that? Can you show me how the water goes in the cycle? That's good. Can you tell me what happens? First, evaporation, the air goes up. Condensation, forms clouds. And finally, precipitation. Precipitation means it rains. Very good. All right, so now it looks like you all know that. Let's move on to something else. Okay, what happens when the air becomes water vapor? It goes up in the air. All the air is going to go up. What's going to happen here? It's going to be kind of empty. When the air goes up, it's going to be empty. So more air is going to move in. What happens when air moves? It's wind. Very good. So today we're going to talk about wind. How is wind formed? Okay, so right now I'm going to use this can and I'm going to put some water in the can. A little bit of water in the can. Okay, I want you to look. What is in the can now? We've got water and air. Very good. And now I'm going to take this flame, I'm going to light it. Okay, I want you to put your hands back, please. What happens when I heat the water? What's happening now? It's like the sun. Oh wow, can you see what's happening? Can you see that there's already a lot of water vapor coming out of here. Can you see that? Can you see the water vapor coming out? Okay, let's give it some more time. Let's warm it up a little bit more. Okay. Let's warm up the tin can. Warm up the water. So water vapor is going to come up. When water vapor comes out, what does it mean? It means that it's pushing out the air. There's air. Now the water vapor, can you see the water vapor is pushing the air out? That means the water is very hot. Do you see the water vapor coming out? Right. That means that the water in here is really hot. It's becoming water vapor. And when the water vapor goes up, it pushes all the other air out. Okay. Now, if this can is suddenly cooled, what's going to happen to the water vapor? It's going to change back into water. That's right. Okay, so on a very hot day, the air goes up and the other air is going to move in. Now what happens if I block this and make it cold? I block this entrance, make it cold. Okay? Let's see what's going to happen. The water vapor is in there. Wow. You see what happened? The can got like squished up. Can you tell me why that happened? Okay, let's think about it. The air in the water vapor was coming out. As soon as the water vapor cools down, the air is going to change back into water. And then what's going to happen? There's going to be no air, and the water vapor is going to become water again. So the air is going to try and rush inside. But I put this entrance down from the can down into the water, so there's no air going to move in. And then what happened? The can squashed together because there was no air in, and suddenly the water vapor became water, and it made a vacuum and pulled in. And that is what causes wind. Wind is when there's a vacuum, kind of all the air comes rushing in from the side. Okay. You see how the can got squished up? Can you believe it? It's amazing, right?